Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, I'm going to be teaching you two solos that you can play over a major triad-based 12-bar blues. So what does that actually mean? Well, first off, if you need a recap on what the 12-bar blues form is, jump into this lesson before continuing with this one, because this lesson is going to assume that you know the form and what chord happens in which of those 12 bars. So assuming you know the form, let's continue. So typically when we play a 12-bar blues in the key of C, we have these chords. The 1 chord is C7, the 4 chord is F7, and the 5 chord is G7. But in this song, we're actually going to be altering that. Instead of playing that extra 4th note, creating a dominant chord, we're going to omit it, and we're going to play all 3 chords as triads, specifically major triads. And when we do that, we lose that typical cliche bluesy sound. You know, the my girl done left me, now I'm all alone, right? We lose that cliche bluesy sound and we end up with something more akin to what I titled this lesson as, which is kind of Jimmy Buffett happy blues. So since our chords have been altered to major triads, we need our solo to reflect that happy tonality. So our solos are predominantly based out of major pentatonic scales. So if we look at C major pentatonic, these are the 5 notes that we have in the scale, and I've put up the formula as well. Now, if you've never played this scale before, that's okay, because I promise you that you know it. It's most famously used as the opening riff of My Girl. So in a nutshell, for this lesson, we're going to be playing the blues, but making it happier in tonality, both in the chords that we're strumming and the solos that we're playing on top of it. So let's go ahead and take a step back now, and let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to play the first solo. But if you want to learn the second solo, I'm going to be teaching that in the part 2 lesson, which you can watch by clicking this link, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for EP017. That's the lesson number for this lesson. You can also search Parrothead Blues. The name Parrothead, that's derived from what Jimmy Buffett calls his fans, parrotheads. So the last thing I want to talk about too is that on that page will be the tabs that you can print off to follow along with, plus the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really neat feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tabs scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. And last but not least, we'll have backing tracks that you can download too. So we're going to have 100% speed, 75% speed, and 50% speed. So once you learn the uke parts, you can rock out at home with the band. All right, so a few things that we want to touch on before we start this lesson. The first thing is that I'm going to be using a low G to teach this tune. Now, you will actually need a low G because a lot of the notes that we're going to be playing are going to be reflective of that low pitch for the 4th string. The other thing I want to touch on is our right hand approach for finger picking, and this is really open-ended. There's no right or wrong. What I like to use is kind of a hybrid technique. I like to do a bit of piccato picking, which is fancy terminology that just means alternate picking. So for example, if I take the A string, you can see I'm just alternating, leading with the middle, following with the index. And sometimes I'll do a hybrid, so I'll use my thumb to play maybe the 2nd string. So maybe if I have a passage, you can see I piccato pick on the 1st string, and then every now and then I have a note on the 2nd string and I can use my thumb. So I like to use a little bit of a hybrid technique like that. If you want to do something more traditional, you can use a 4-finger approach where thumb gets everything on string 4, index is string 3, middle is string 2, ring is string 1, or you can simplify it to a 3-finger approach, so thumb gets double duty for the top strings, index is string 2, middle is string 1, or you can do what AJ did, which was just use the thumb for every single note. So there's no right or wrong. Mine is a little bit of a fancier way. By the way, if you're new to picado picking, jump into our lesson called La Gitanita. I'll link it in the description box below. It covers the mechanics behind picado picking. And that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and kick into the start of this lesson. So for our intro, as the lead player, we're actually not playing anything for the first 4 bars. So you're going to be resting. But I would recommend you guys count out the first 4 bars using quarter notes, just so you keep track of where you're at in the music. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. And then when you get to bar 5, which is the first bar for our soloing, that's where you come in. So counting out while you're resting and not playing just helps keep track of where you're at in the music. But let's take a look at what the rhythm player is doing. So if we put up measure 1 and 2, we can see that we're starting on the G chord, going to the F chord. So our intro actually starts on the 9th bar of the 12-bar blues. So if we look at what the rhythm player is doing, we're going to notice that it's very elementary, so very, very beginner friendly. It's literally 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So if we take a G chord, we're literally just going to go down, chunk up. And the same thing continues for the F chord. And then if we look at measure 3 and 4, the same thing happens for the C chord. So very, very simple playing. I think we can skip the play along for this, especially considering as this lesson is more geared towards soloing. So that's the intro. Again, you want to just keep in mind that it starts on bar 9 of the 12-bar blues, but you rest as the lead player. So make sure you count those 4 bars, coming in at bar 5. All right, so let me go ahead and play 5 and 6 so we can hear what it sounds like. So that's a pretty good gist of what we got. And throughout these solos, we're going to be counting out rhythms for most of them, but you can also play by ear. It's a very da-da-da-da-da, ba-do-da-da, very melodic solo. So if you can sing it, you can play it. So take your middle finger and put it on the 2nd fret of string 3. We're going to do a very quick slide from 2 to 4 on that 3rd string. And you can see that as the 2 is very, very tiny on the tab, that's called a grace note. So a grace note just adds a little bit of flourish. So we have slide on beat 1, 2 to 4. Go back to the 2nd fret, so just go back to where you were and play that note. Then the open C, then back down on 2. And this time around, we're going to do a slide again 2 to 4, but it's going to be a bit slower, so you can see it's 8th notes. So 1, 2, and 3, and. So we've got a fast slide, fast, slow. Okay, so that's the key thing to pay attention to in your playing right there. So fast slide, then the 2nd time, slow slide. So 1, 2, and 3, and. Now, on the end of beat 4, we're going to play the 3rd fret of string 2. So you want to really count that out because you've got a bit of a rest on beat 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Right? So we kind of want to rest on beat 4 and play on the end of it. So try that with me. Ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, one more time. Ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right. Now as we go into measure 6, we're going to be holding that note into beat 1. So the first note that we're actually playing in measure 6 is on the end of 1. So we're going to play 4 on string 3 with the middle, and then we're going to do a quick hammer on 3 to 5 on string 2, and then back to 3. Okay, so rhythmically we have 3 and 4 and 1 and 2e and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2e and 3 and 4 with me and 2e and 3 and 4 with me and 2e and... Okay, so not too hard. So putting it together sounds like this. Pretty cool, right? Again, very melodic. Da 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 ba do da da da. So remember, if you can sing it, you can play it. So let's do this, guys. Let's do a play along, but we're gonna start with that intro because it's always good practice to count the measures that we're not playing. So remember, you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Come in on bar 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and give that a shot. And what I think we'll do for these intros is we're going to have 2 play-alongs. We'll have a 75% speed, so we'll start slow, and then we'll do 100% speed. So let's try that out. So here we go. All right, so going into our next 2 bars. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and play 7 and 8 so we can hear it first, and then we'll break it down. Here's what it sounds like. All right, so that's a good gist of what 7 and 8 sound like. Now, if we look at just 7, we're going to notice that the first 3 notes that we're playing, they're identical to the first 3 notes of bar 5. So you've got that quick slide, 2 to 4, back to 2, then open C. But the key difference here is that you're starting on the end of 1. So when you're counting it, 3, 4, rest, and 2, and make sure that you start on the end of 1. Okay, so looking at beat 3 in bar 7, we're going to do a quick hammer-on, open G to the A note, so the 2nd fret, and then open C. So 3 and... Now that open C gets held into beat 4, and then you hit it again on the end of 4. So we have 3 and 4 and. Putting that bar together, we have 3, 4, rest, and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's see if we can try that together, maybe a little bit slower. So we have ready, go, rest. Nice. Going into bar 8, it's a little bit simpler because it starts on beat 1. So we're going to do a pull off, 2 to open, and then we're going to go to the 2nd fret on string 4, and then back to open C. So straight up 8th notes, 1 and 2 and. Now here's the key. That open C holds into beat 3, hit it again on the end of 3, and then you're going to go 2 to 4 to finish it up. But look at the 2 to 4. It's a slow slide. It's not the fast one. It's the slow 8th note slide. So that bar together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, sounds like that. Let's try together. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Nice. So if I play those 2 again together, sounds like this. 1, 2, ready, go, rest. Nice. So let's try a play along with those 2 bars. And here's what we're going to do for the play along now. So moving forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to put a 75 and then 100% play along. But since we're working on just these two bars, and we don't have that big intro where we're sitting out on, what we're going to do is we're going to start the play along from the previous bar. So for example, for 7 and 8, you're going to hear a metronome playing along in measure 6, so that'll help kind of reinforce the tempo. And then you'll jump in for 7 and 8, and then it'll fade out on bar 9. So you'll hear 4 bars, a metronome on 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. You come in on measure 7, play measure 8 as well, and then it'll fade out on measure 9. So we'll start with 75% speed and then 100% speed. All right, so going into measure 9 and measure 10, it's going to sound and look like this. This one's a fun one because you have some crazy jumps up and down the neck. All right, so let's break down what's happening. Let's start with just measure 9. All right, so for measure 9, we're going to do a quick slide 4 to 5 on the C string. So it's that fast slide, that grace note slide. Then I want you to come back with your index finger, play 4. Then we're going to do a slow slide, 5 to 9. So anytime you're doing these big jumps up the neck, make sure you use those dots, right? So my first dot, and unfortunately every ukulele manufacturer is not uniform. Sometimes the first dot's on the 5th fret, but mine's on the 3rd fret. So my first dot is 3, second dot is 5, third dot is 7, fourth dot is 10, double dot always 12. So if I know that I'm sliding up to 9, then I'm going to slide 1 fret behind the 4th dot. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet, right? So use those dots as your guiding stones. And if you need a more detailed lesson on doing that, I'll put a link in the description box below to a mini lesson that, well, teaches you just that. All right, so going back to where we were at, we're on beat 2, so 5 sliding up to 9. So I'm going second dot to 1 fret behind the 4th dot. Okay, so again I have all together. All right, so 1 and 2 and. All right, at this point we're going to come back down with the index finger to play 7 and then go back down with that index finger to 5. So you're literally going 3rd dot to 2nd dot. So again, those dots are helping us out a lot. Together so far, slide 4, 5, slide, walk down. Okay, slide 4, 5, 9, 7, 5. Now rhythmically it's a little bit tricky, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, to finish it up, you're going to use the ring finger to play 7 and slide all the way up to your double dot. And again, you can see that's a quick slide on the end of beat 4. So together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right, let's see if we can try that one together. So slow. Ready, go. 2, 3, again. 2, 3, 4. Good. So when you slide up to that double dot, that 12th fret, you're going to be holding that note into the first beat of the next measure. So looking at just measure 10, we're actually going to be playing on the end of beat 1. So we have a ring finger on 12. We're going to use our index finger to go to 9. So remember, 1 behind the 4th dot. Go down to 7 with the index finger, and then go back to 9, but use your ring finger. So end to end. Now, this end of 2 gets held out through all beat 3 plus beat 4, and then on the end of 4, we're going to play 7, but use your pinky finger. All right, so that's a little bit confusing. Let's count it out. So bar 10 by itself, starting with the first note we play, the end of 1. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Makes more sense when we count it and play. Let's try together. 3, 4, rest, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now we're using our pinky because the next measure will have this crazy little hammer-on slide thingamajig happening on it. So that's why I want you to use your pinky to end this 10th bar. But let's do this. Let me play 9 and 10 all the way through one more time, and then we'll try play along. So it sounds like that. And let's go ahead and try our play alongs. Okay, so for 11 and 12, think about where we left off. We left off with pinky playing 7, and I had mentioned previously that we wanted to use our pinky there because we have this crazy like start to this bar. So there's a lot happening with this hammer-on, pull-off, slide action. So let's break it down. So we're going to start with our index finger playing 4 on string 3, and we're going to do a hammer-on to 5 with the middle, pull off back to 4, and then slide it down to this 2nd fret. Now, the rhythm is key here. So we have 1 and a 2. So, ooh, that was fast, right? Let's break that down. So 8th note, 16th notes, slide down, 8th note, and let's add the next note too, which takes us back to 4, but use your ring finger. So 1 and a 2 and 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and 3 with me. 3, 4. Ready, go. 1 and a 2 and 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and 3. One more time. Ready, last one. Just kidding. That's good enough. Now, you probably noticed, at least I heard playing through that a couple of mine didn't sound very in time, and that's fine. You know, this is actually probably, I think this is the hardest lick in the entire song, just because it's tricky to do this hammer-on, slide, pull-off thingamajig and keep timing perfectly. Steady. So just try your best with it and see if you can, get the muscle memory down so you get close to the rhythm each time. Now, after you play the 4th fret with your ring finger, you're going to hold that note into beat 3, you're going to hit it again on the end of 3, and then you're going to do a pull-off 2 to open on beat 4 end. So all together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that measure sounds like that. So if we try that together, ready, go. So tricky stuff. You can always use that YouTube cog to slow down the tempo too if you want to try playing that with me a little bit slower. I find that if I go too slow, I really struggle keeping the timing consistent, especially for that first part, which we've already chatted about how difficult it is timing-wise. Now, going into measure 12, it's going to sound like this, and I'm actually going to play into the first note of measure 13. So with this one, it's very syncopated. Da-da-da, ba-ba-da-da, da-da. Right, so that's cutting out the first note of 13. So this one, you may want to just play it by ear just to memorize it. Da-da-da, ba-ba-da-da, da-da-da. That time I added the first note of 13. So let's break it down. So we're going to start with an open G, hammer onto the 2nd fret, play the open C, let that linger, go back to the 2nd fret of the G string, and then do another hammer on, and then open. So what we're playing with our left hand is not hard. The timing is what's tricky. 1E and 2 and 3 and... Let me try that again. 1E and 2 and 3 and... So tricky. So again, I would probably just go ba-da-da, ba-ba-da-da. Just sing this one. It's much easier. Let's try that part together. Ba-da-da, ba-ba-da-da, go. Nice. Now to end it, we're going to go a chromatic hammer-on. So use your index finger to play 2, hammer on to 3, and then the next note, which we don't see on screen, is going to be 4. So ba-da-da. All right. So if we put that together, we end up with that. Let's try together. Ready, go. Nice. And if I put these 2 bars together, these are, I think, some of the trickiest rhythmically. It's going to sound like this. Da 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 ba ba da ba da da ba ba da 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 da. Sounds like that with old house creaking in the background. One more time. All right. So try your best with this play along. This is probably 2 bars that you're gonna have to put a lot of work into because it's tricky timing, but here we go, 75 and then 100% speed. Now as we go into 13 and 14, we want to keep in mind that we ended with that chromatic hammer-ons, right? So the first note that we see is that 4th fret that we hammered onto. So we're actually going to be playing on beat 2. So this measure sounds like this, starting on beat 2. Wow, it's so much easier than the last 2 bars, right? So 2 and 3 and rest, and so much easier to play. So start where you left off. So we have 2 hits, then 2nd on string 3, back to 4 on string 4, rest on beat 4, drop down, 4 on string 3. Very simple. 2 and 3 and rest, and let's try together. Ready, go, rest. 2 and 3 and 4. And so very easy, right? Going into the next measure, a little bit more tricky. Sounds like this. So ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da. Again, very catchy measure to sing out. So we're going to start where we left off, slide 4 to 5, quick slide, go back to 4, then to 2 with the index, then a quick hammer on, 2 to 4. So 1 and 2 and all 8th notes. 1 and 2 and hold into beat 3, back to 2, and then we have a quick open to 2nd, and then open C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, let's see if we can try that together. Ready, go. Okay, one more time, a little bit slower. Ready, go. All right, and if I put those 2 together, and I'll tell you what, I'll start from that triple hammer-on, right? That's probably where I would come in to practice these 2 bars. So let's try that with the play along. So come in with the triple hammer-on, and then carry on through these 2 measures. So let's give it a shot. Now, bar 15 and 16. 15 is going to be a little bit tricky because you got to think where you left off. Was that open C? We had da-da-da. That's where the last bar ended off with that quick hammer-on open C. And you can see that open C rings out for beat 1, the end of 1, and beat 2. So on the end of 2, you're going to hit the first note for this bar, which is going to be the G string open, and then hit it again on beat 3. And then we're going to play this C note, 3rd fret of string 1, to finish it up. So it's all about the rhythm and timing in this measure. So 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you want to hit on the end of 2, beat 3, and then the end of 4. So 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Try that with me. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so playing wise is easy, but the timing, that's what's tricky. So again, I would probably just practice this one with adding that end of the previous bar in. So let's do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Try that with me. So start from beat 4 of the previous bar. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Awesome. Now 16, we have a very cool little pentatonic lick to end. So let's break that one down. So we're going to start with our ring finger playing 3, which is actually where we had left off. So we're going to do a pull off to the open, then go to 3 on string 2, same ring finger, and then open A. Then keep that ring finger planted because you're going to play it again, and then pull off to the open E. Then to finish, 2nd on string 3, open C. So watch my ring finger. You can see that it just stays anchored on that 2nd string until I get to the last 2 notes where I don't need it anymore. So let's try that together. We have 1E and 2 and 3 and 4, ready, go. Ready, go. Very nice. So let's try to play along for that. Remember, come in on that hammer-on lick that is on beat 4 for bar 14. So 75 and 100% speed. Let's try it. Alright guys, so that's everything. That's the first 12 bar solo for this tune. It's really awesome when you get all the licks down and you put it all together. As you're practicing, use the same approach we did for this lesson. Do 2 bars at a time. So 2 bars sounds like a phrase. So if we think about the first 2 bars of the solo, bar 5 and 6. Right, there's bar 5 by itself. It sounds a little abrupt because it's kind of like a call and response. Your ear's like, finish it, right? And bar 6 is like, okay, I'll finish it. Right? Sounds complete. So work on 2 bars at a time. Master the first 2, then the next 2, then the next 2, then right. Try 2 bars at a time. Master them. Don't try to do all 12 bars from the get-go. But when you do get it down, let's take a listen to AJ playing all 12 bars so we can hear the entire solo throughout. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up everything for this lesson. In the part 2 lesson, I'm going to be teaching you the second solo. So we've got 12 more bars of awesome lead playing to learn, and we're going to be jumping into that in the part 2 lesson, which you can watch by clicking this link or going to rockclass101.com, doing a search for EP017. You could also just type Parrothead Blues. It'll pull up the lesson page that way too. And last but not least, I wanted to give you a friendly reminder that on that page are the tabs that you can print off, keep for your records, plus the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. So you can literally hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want. Really, really cool tool for learning solos like this that much easier. And last but not least, we'll have backing tracks that you can download too. So we're gonna have 100% speed, 75% speed, and 50% speed. So once you learn the uke parts, you can rock out at home with the band. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this part 1 lesson. I'll catch you in the part 2 one. Take care.